And everything. Well, hey everybody. We decided we were doing a little bit of back and forth before we started the show up, and I got to admit we're a bit giddy today, so you'll have to bear with us. And later on, when we have plenty of time, we'll mix in. John here is actually looking at a new career. If we try the wide shot, you can see he brought along his tools, everything. So
customized doctor's outfit.
Okay,
It's
well,
customized. It just says DMD.
I thought that meant for dumb medical doctor or dead medical doctor or something like that.
Oh, it means a dentist. A dentist. So I guess you're starting with me already. See now.
No, hold on. We got to start the same way we do all the shows. From now on, we're going to start every show like this. Folks, stupidity can't be fixed, but ignorance is a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it works for me.
Okay. Well, let's hit a few of our
Sure.
state by state. For example, Sand Island, Alabama. Birmingham Audubon says beach volleyball players probably killed hundreds of birds still in their eggs.
Wow.
I don't know. I was really, really staring hard at some of those female volleyball players, and I didn't see any birds get hurt.
Well, I think that what they were talking about is that the volleyball lost air, and they were using the eggs as volleyballs, and they only went a couple times before the broke.
Well, you know what's interesting is I was perusing Facebook a little bit, looking at some of our projects, our WRNG TV for one, and a fellow brought up that I believe it's the Secretary of Energy for the whole country, said that, we're going to downplay wind farms because the windmills kill too many birds. Well, then whoever posted this went on to show how many more birds are killed by the microwave towers, cell phone towers they call them, by cars, by just environment. And I happen to think about the fact, when I was a kid, there was a book out called Silent Spring by the author was Rachel Carson.
Yeah.
And it was all about how the pesticides in the environment were killing the birds. Well, I remember about the same time I learned about this, my father was starting to complain about how all the birds were waking him up in the summers, because when we as a society became aware of the prevalence of pesticides and all the damage it was doing, because let's face it, we're part of the food chain too. Ask any cougar, ask any gorilla,
Yeah, the worms signed on for my body donation. Worms and cockroaches want me. They filled out the form down at the Department of Motor Vehicles. I don't know why the Department of Motor Vehicles handles old bodies.
Well, I had to fill out some forms at the hospital recently with my cousin, not my brother. And I said, well, they call me do not resuscitate Art or pull the plug Art.
Yeah. And I was telling some people that I worked with the art of comedy, and they said, the art? And I said, well, I guess it's really an art of comedy. He's just another Art who does comedy.
Well, like really, really good actors will tell you, dying is easy. Comedy's hard. So,
and hang on, one more thing. If you saw my other show,
what happened to my urine specimen?
Yeah, I'll tell you. It went down hard the first couple tastes, but I had to finish what I started for the audience. And, and there was a lot of sugar in there. I think you need some insulin. It was sweet. So now I'm drinking clear fluid so Art can't pull any fast ones.
Well, there are certain societies that drinking your own urine is a part of the passage to manhood.
Wow. Yeah, I guess then I'm a man in that society too.
Well, there's certain things that even I won't do, and that's one of them. Let's try another one here. Anchorage, Alaska. Alaska wildlife troopers seized more than 16 tons of salmon caught illegally by vessels. Kind of makes me wonder, come on, you got to feed the bear, right? So why are they taking the salmon? Let the bears have them.
Yeah, and they seize the salmon, and then what do they do when they seize it? Do they just take it to market and sell it and take the profit? Or, you can't release them. They're already friggin' dead.
I don't know. We'll move on. Phoenix, Arizona. The city has cut a program that offered residents gift cards and other incentives to recycle. What? If you won't recycle from common sense, I don't understand why a gift card would make a difference.
No, recycling. A lot of people are doing recycling now. They're on their fourth and fifth marriage, and they keep recycling the old partners, put them back in the food chain, and somebody else thinks your garbage is special.
Well, one man's trash is another man's treasure. We'll just keep moving along before. Little Rock, Arkansas. Arkansas Medicaid spending fell by $22 million in the fiscal year that ended in June. You know what? I'll bet you they removed dental work from the budget.
Oh, I thought it was just that so many people had died that they couldn't put that much more on the survivors.
That could be, too. We'll skip California. There's too many fruits and nuts out there anyway. Vail, Colorado. Operation Game Thief program is increasing the reward to $15,000 for information leading to the arrest of those responsible for killing 2 mountain goats. They got a lot of mountain goats. You're allowed to kill them legally, so why are they going after people that just killed 2?
Yeah, well, I think they said they said a reward though of $15,000. No, what they should do is they should charge the people money. Don't give somebody money away. Just It
makes me wonder. But here's one sort of close to my heart. Simsbury, Connecticut. Jonathan 14th, the Siberian Husky mascot for the University of Connecticut, was assistant ring bearer for alumni Daniel and Holly Bronco. Now, I had a husky. They're great, lovable animals, but you couldn't trust them. Mine would have ate that ring in a heartbeat. And Another thing I just thought of, if their last name is Bronco, why didn't they choose a horse?
Yeah, they should have chose a horse, or they could have taken a colt if they were real, they were afraid of a big horse. But, they weren't too worried. I heard, I talked to the best man, and they weren't worried about the dog swallowing the ring because they were well stocked at the reception. And if the dog swallowed the ring, they would have just had to wait a while and it would have passed out the other side. And, it's a lot of farmers are real comfortable working around that kind of stuff.
That's, having to recycle your ring that way. I'm not sure that's a story I'd tell the grandkids.
Well, look at all these crazy people. They get this special coffee that costs thousands of dollars a pound, and it's
That's right.
Some creature ate the coffee bean and then fermented it in its belly, and then
a beetle.
Yeah, excreted it, and these people are like, wow, this is great. And it's like, holy Christ. Well, I'll let them do a show with me, and you leave another urine sample, and I won't tell them what it is. I'll put a little vodka in there.
Okay, John, down boy. Okay, here's a strange one. Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. A bicyclist was attacked Sunday morning by a driver who pulled over to hit him with a piece of cable, police said.
Wow.
Now, I do a lot of driving. I like to do expressways, but unfortunately a lot of it's on city streets. The number of bicycles that seem to think they own a road, and I mean, understand, they belong there too, but why are they not ticketed for blowing through stop signs, blowing through lights, committing all these other, minor crimes, admittedly, but still? I'm supposed to give them access and right away, and then they continually break the laws? I think this guy should have picked up something bigger than a cable. Well, here's an interesting one. District of Columbia, Pave DC program has completed about 120 segments of road. Now, my first question is, how big's a segment? 3 inches? 3 feet? 3 miles? 1 mile? That doesn't tell you anything.
Yeah. Well, see, government is trying to be transparent, and everybody thinks that means you can see the workings of government. No. They want to be fully transparent. You won't see where anything goes. It's called invisible.
Wait a minute. If they want to be transparent, does that mean if you stand on the side, look in one ear, you can see all the way to the other side?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what it means.
Here. Orlando, Florida. Passenger traffic at Orlando International Airport is up almost 7% in the first 6 months of 2018. I wonder if that has anything to do with the extremely destructive tornadoes and hurricanes and so many other things that have happened, including the closing temporarily of Disneyland.
Oh, yeah. It got serious when they closed Disneyland. Heads are going to roll in the government because they got deep pockets. And, it's all about whoever can do the best for the country that happened to get the biggest donations.
You hit the nail on the head. It's donations. Here's one that I'm going to have to contact these people. Atlanta, Georgia. The city has spent more than $6 million to buy a nearly 2-mile stretch of old railroad for the Beltline project. Hey, I got all this old railroad track from my HO days. I'll sell it to them a lot cheaper than that.
Yeah. I actually, somewhere downstairs, I think I have a train too. There was a time decades ago when they were just the thing to have. Everybody had to have one. It was like a society-wide madness. We all had to have a train, and you'd watch it go around in circles, and then you'd say, I need to go take more money, and I got to buy a little, a house to put next to the track. And then I got to put a little tree, and you just keep buying that stuff, and then, of course, as a kid, there comes the inevitable, I got to put one of these little plastic figures on the train track, just like Snidely Whiplash and Dudley Do-Right.
I got an idea. Mentioning no names, but somebody I know very well used to love putting Q-tips in the windows of the Pullman cars and then lighting them. So soak them in lighter fluid, light them, turn off all the lights, and then watch it go around the track until he almost set his house on fire. And his wife said, don't you ever dare do that again. Here's another good one. Honolulu, Hawaii. The state is expanding free preschool programs at public elementary schools in Oahu, Molokai, Hawaii, and Maui. I'm not quite sure I understand why, because with all that lava, they got another island coming up. They're going to call it Aui from the heat.
Yeah, they got another island coming up. You notice how that doesn't go up on news anymore? The news media is really silent about what's going on with the volcano. I guess they're waiting for the other island to get bigger.
Well, you know what happens the minute it cools off, some real estate developer steps in and starts, hey, look at what I got. Idaho Falls, Idaho. Now, I've spent a lot of time in Idaho over the years. Interesting state. There, if you go there with somebody that lives there, there's a surprising amount of things that you can do. Now, the Pew Research. Now, Pew is these people are not some fly-by-night clowns, selling something out of a storefront. These are supposed to be well-respected people. Now, listen. A Pew Research Center report found that Idaho revenue from taxes on alcohol, tobacco, and gambling is among the lowest in the nation. You know what's among the highest in the nation in Idaho? The percentage of Mormons who do not believe in alcohol, tobacco, and gambling.
Oh, that sounds good.
I mean, this looks like something the government you'd apply for a government grant to basically tell you what everybody knows by common sense.
Oh, yeah. I need to learn how to apply for them, because then I can get the money and, I can go out and get some alcohol, tobacco, and firearms or whatever else they did and put that stuff down, and then I can do my experiment and have an excuse to somebody to pay the rent for a couple days.
I'm going to skip down here a little bit. Some of these are, Chicago, Illinois. Organizers say they have much more than the 52,500 needed, I'm assuming they means votes, to ask voters to consider term limits for mayors. Well, yeah, but if you're in Chicago, Illinois, and you try to vote against something, they're going to stuff the ballot box anyway. So it doesn't matter how many signatures they have. That's silly.
Yeah, I tend to agree that that's one thing politicians everywhere are against, term limitations. Because once they get in there, they're good to go. They got the best retirements, everything.
Well, most people forget because people don't study history, and there's an old saying, those who do not study history are condemned to repeat it. And it's scary that as you get older and you start looking around, you see people repeating the same ignorance. Not stupidity. You can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
Same ignorance.
Yeah.
Here we, Lawrence, Kansas. University of Kansas is looking into ways to limit fraternity and sorority hazing. That's a good thing. People have been hurt, killed, etc. But if you're in Lawrence, Kansas, what the heck else is there to do?
Well, you know what? If they want some nonviolent, non-hazardous hazing, I start a company and we just get them to call me and I'll show them all kinds of good ways to do hazing without anybody really getting hurt and just getting embarrassed, because that's all they really want to do is embarrass you.
I don't know. I've been through a couple of situations where there's a little hazing involved, and generally it's good, clean fun. It's when you get the weirdos that later become politicians that things get kind of crazy.
Yeah. You got it.
So let's move on down here. Here, I really like this one. I just want to read it. Louisville, Kentucky. Rabbit Hole Distillery will begin tours today.
Wow.
Rabbit Hole Distillery.
Jeez.
I don't know if I could really say this, but does that mean that maybe Bunghole Beer will be opening up a place too?
Oh, yeah. And see, I do have my... I can work in the rabbit hole because I got a little headlight here. Oh, I got to turn it on and show that it works, so you guys don't think
that's
it's
okay, John. You just got a little
there.
head too, so. Anyway. Oh, here's a good one. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Ronnie Jones, chairman of the Louisiana Gaming Control Board, says 3 of 15 riverboat casinos have indicated interest in moving on shore. Well, if you look at the history of the Mississippi, all they got to do is wait a year or so, and it'll flood, and they just motor up on ground, flood goes away, boop, they're on shore, no problem.
Yeah, you're right. The mighty Mississippi, I think it's it's a second place winner to the Great Lakes, and we've always had the first place winner. I think that's why the Lions have never won, because we got the Great Lakes and they're the first place in water sports.
Oh, I think there's a whole lot of reasons why. But did you ever notice, and it seems to be mostly Louisiana, because if I remember correctly, their governor, his name is something like Bobby Ray.
Yeah.
And this guy's name is Ronnie, but it's probably Ronnie Bubba or Ronnie Joe. They all have those kind of names, and it's kind of cute. It kind of rolls off the tongue, actually.
Yeah,
we're going to get to your new job that you want so brag about so badly, but we got to do one or two more of these.
Oh, that's fine.
Augusta, Maine. Randy Cross of the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says he believes bears will be more likely to visit bait buckets because of a lack of berries.
Oh.
If you put out a bait bucket, you're going to have animals, man. I don't care.
Well, you know what? I really think, animals, the best tasting beef, I think, is Kobe beef. And they actually, Japan's such a small spot. These cows don't get to run the open pasture. They get massages by masseuse. Now, this is all true.
No, yeah.
And they also give the cows beer. So I'm thinking, let's bring it over here to this side of the Pacific. We'll have, we'll get the bears beer, and let them drink 3 or 4 gallons, and I think that meat's going to taste almost as good as that beef from Japan.
I'm not too sure about that, but it's something that occurred to me while we were talking. I wonder, when they name things, did they name berries first or bears first? Did somebody see a bear eating berries and say, "Oh, look, little bears. He's eating little bears. They're little berries"? Never mind. I think I'm losing it. I think I'm really. Okay, John, please.
Okay. Now, see, I put tape on this so nobody would ever see the person's name that I borrowed this from.
You put tape on that so that people wouldn't be able to sue you. I know that.
Oh, that's what it is. But see, it says DMD. Now, at first, I looked at it and thought it said DMV, and I'm thinking Department of Motor Vehicles, and I thought, boy, they're sure getting hoity-toity. You got to wear white stuff and all that. But no, it's Doctor of Dental, of Medical Dentist or something. Yeah, it's a dental medical doctor. Anyway.
That makes no sense, okay? I thought more like dogs miming donuts or something.
Well, the thing about it is dentist is one of the Doc Holliday was a dentist, and once he got tuberculosis, he quit practicing because it seemed his patients tended to get tuberculosis too. But
you know what? I don't like docs, okay? You know why? Because at one time the IRS wanted to dock my pay, and I said, that's it. I hate all docs.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good point. I think that's a good point. But anyway, see, now we got these all kinds of teeth. Now here we can pull the big teeth, for some big people.
Try not to break the equipment, John.
Yeah, they'll take it out of my non-existent paycheck. They'll dock me. And,
yeah.
And here's a little one for normal-sized teeth. And, of course, for those parents, they're keeping trophies of their kids, mementos. And they're afraid that the tooth will fall out and they'll never find it. They bring their baby to us, and we remove it with this so they can keep it. And, some people are taking a bunch of baby teeth and they're stringing them on a necklace, Kind of reminds me of witch doctors a little bit, but as long as the bills are getting paid.
If I recall my very meager geography, that was done by certain cannibalistic tribes, okay? So I don't want to see anybody walking around with teeth strung around their neck around here.
Well, yeah, but multiculturalism. We're bringing cannibals back. They deserve their day in the sunshine, too.
Justin Timberlake was bringing sexy back, and now you're bringing cannibal back. Oh, man,
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, I really think homemade lemonade and homemade beer is the next thing to be brought back. I mean, when I was in my 20s, there was a big insurgency. Everybody was making beer and wine in their own house. And now the best of the best became craft breweries. And the worst of the best, we just quit making beer altogether, and we buy it, what you gonna do? You do what you're good at, and I'm good at giving my money away. So,
well, the nice thing is the fellow that has the Sam Adams beer and the different sub brands of Sam Adams. I watched a thing about him one time. It's really interesting. They actually bred a stronger strain of yeast so that they could have a higher alcoholic content in one of their beers. Because the thing with beer, and I believe wine also, is the yeast causes the alcohol content to rise. It literally kills itself off. So in general, you will only have a 6 or 7%, which you double that for the proof. Let's say a 14, 15 proof beer or wine, whereas with this stronger yeast, you can go up to 20 or 25. Well,
jeez.
And you can only imagine how much less money you have to spend to get a buzz on if you got a stronger beer.
Well, yeah, a stronger beer's better, but big beer brews better barley and brings better buzz. But Sam Adams and that yeast, that's great and all that. But it got me thinking, we're kind of like the yeast. The more we develop our society and civilization, the more we're kind of tearing down. Look at downtown Detroit. That's rebuilt, but there's a lot of residential neighborhoods near downtown Detroit that are just, there's no houses. We're just like yeast.
That brings me to another one of my little vignettes here. In Lansing, Michigan, the State Department of Natural Resources grants are available for projects that create more urban green spaces. So, of course, now the banks are going to go apply for them because they're foreclosing so much on people's homes, then letting the homes fall to nothing, that they are literally creating more urban green spaces. I mean, they're helping the environment, and they were just trying to help themselves in their pocketbooks.
Yeah, that's why beer is still so popular. Everybody knows what the banks are. The thing about it, everybody hated lawyers at one point. And then the banker said, hey, lawyers, we feel bad that you're getting picked on all the time. And then they went out and crashed the banks, and, they needed how many trillions to bail them out? And now everybody hates the bankers more, and the lawyers are just like, hey, this is great.
Well, you got to remember that the banks got bailed out from our pockets, And oddly enough, this is one more that I really want to bring out today. It's kind of close to home. And then we'll have a little stream of consciousness before we hit the road. St. Cloud, Minnesota. Kathleen Uradnik, a political science professor at St. Cloud State University, has filed a lawsuit alleging her rights are being violated because she doesn't agree with her union. My wife doesn't agree with me. Are my rights being violated?
Oh, yeah. You know what? My cat doesn't agree with how much food I give him. He wants more. I'm glad my cat doesn't have a lawyer. I'd get sued.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He'd probably win because I know your cat too. And I got a feeling he's got stuff on you,
Yeah, and I've never been real good at hiding stuff. I've just been really good at being so unimportant that nobody worried to ever try to get me.
It's funny you mentioned that, but you get into certain things like in the movie business back when they made a lot of Westerns, they used to rate you by when you came through the door. First through the door, second through the door, third through the door. And that was a big deal. Well, in my personal experience, I've noticed if you're raising a lot of heck, generally the first through the door and the second through the door are the ones that get in the most trouble because the rest of the ones coming through are coming so fast they can't write all your names down. But them first two people, boy, they get them and they'll go after them.
Yeah, that's remember how they said the devil was in the detail? Well, I always try to be in the small details. Nobody really knows who I was or what I was. They just see a picture of me in the background of all these big tax bills and all that. I see, because they like the way I pour beer, and I get special invitation to come to committee meetings for Congress because I can really pour beer good.
Well, along with a few of us, you could also sling the bull pretty good, too. So I think we're going to pretty much cover it up. We only got a few seconds left. I'm really hoping that your new career takes off, especially after you hijacked my show last week.
Yeah. And guys, actually, I said he wasn't, he was taking his cousin to the doctor. They removed the lock. I really had a lock on the inside of this door, and he just couldn't get in. And he's too polite to beat on the door because he knew it would ruin the recording.
That, and I forgot to bring my bazooka. That's it. See you later.